Hey guys, it's Mr. and Mrs. Nolan. Welcome to our honeymoon vlog.
We're sitting ready for the airport, ready to fly. She's about to get some coffee. We're boarding our flight now, a little delayed, but we're gonna make it.
We landed. We have 15 minutes to go from Concourse A to Concourse E. Wish us luck.
It was a rough flight.
Here we go. We made it with like a minute to spare.
Ran all the way there, got some water from the back, and we're ready to go.
Let's go to Zurich.
Enough, but maybe we'll get dinner soon.
So this actually isn't dinner. This is our breakfast after we slept overnight on the flight. And then we landed successfully in Zurich and caught a train to the Lindt chocolate factory that was about 30 minutes away. So it was a pleasant train ride, easy enough to get some tickets for that. Flight was good, got some good sleep. Ended about 8 a.m. Zurich time, and now we're headed to a Lindt chocolate factory.
I was really hungry, got this broccoli cheese quiche. Oh my god, it's good. Whew.
So from the train station, it was about a 10-minute walk to the factory. It was a giant building. It has the world's tallest chocolate fountain, which was very cool to see. And then it was just like a history of chocolate, and you got to learn a lot about where it came from, the processes used to make it, and all sorts of fun chocolate facts. They also obviously had lots of tastings. So they had these chocolate fountains of white, dark, and milk chocolates. You just pump some onto a spoon and enjoy yourself. No limits, no restrictions, none that we could see at least. And they also were serving bars of chocolate. So when you put your hand under the machine, it just cuts off a piece of the chocolate bar for your enjoyment to try. They also had photo booths here, which was super fun. Got to flash the rings, great time. And then so many samples.
We just got a bunch of chocolates and dipped some spoons in chocolate fountains and more chocolate. They got a cheesecake flavor. I didn't even know that existed. Pretty awesome.
Good stuff. So this was the last stop on the chocolate factory tour, a fun little interactive gift to leave you with. And after this, we just ventured out to go find some lunch, and we found this super cute little restaurant with outdoor seating and had our first taste of pizza on this trip. Just had a yummy pizza lunch, figured out some tickets, and now we are headed to Lucerne, waiting for the train. One of the first things we did once we got to Lucerne is have a nice meal out. I'm having a classic puff pastry with lamb stew, and Kobe has cordon bleu, Swiss delicacies. And after dinner, we just kind of explored the area. So this is the canal that runs through Lucerne, and the water was flowing so strong. That is our hotel. I'm assuming no one is surprised we chose to stay in a castle the first night of our honeymoon. This is the contraption you had to get on to get up there. An incline elevator, which, you know, a little sketchy, but it was just fine. And then this is the view from up at the hotel. That's where the ghost lives. So here's a little room tour for you of our night one in a castle. I thought it was very interesting. They had preset dimness levels, and you can choose your mood for the room, which I thought was fun. It's a cute little room, full bed, little chairs, and then just a little desk area with quite the view of Lucerne. You can see the lake over there on the right, just absolutely stunning. And then, you know, of course, a great little bathroom, and it had really good lighting in there, and That's our little room for night one. Currently 8:30. We are snug as a bug.
So tired. Maybe jet lag's real, maybe not. We're really not even sure. It's kind of debatable, but it sure feels jet laggy right now.
I don't believe in jet lag. Anyways, we'll be headed to bed soon, and hopefully we'll see a sunrise in the morning or something of the sort. They did not see the sunrise.
Yeah.
See you then.
Jet lag be gone. We just slept for 13 hours. I don't think I've ever slept that much in my life, but this bed was very comfy, and now we need to check out in an hour and go explore Lucerne and keep this thing rolling.
So much for the sunrise.
Yeah.
We've made it to our next stay. Just a cute little double room. So then we just started exploring Lucerne, which started at the train station, which has this beautiful archway in front of it. Food hall. I have a chocolate chip bun.
Pretzel raclette.
And this is the view. Lake Lucerne is home to many swans, so we just got to sit here and watch them for a while we enjoyed our breakfast. And then we did some real exploring, starting with Chapel Bridge, one of the biggest iconic symbols of Lucerne. Here it is from the outside. It holds a lot of history and cool old paintings as you walk through it. This is the church that is right at the end of Chapel Bridge. Absolutely stunning interior. And then we also did a little souvenir shopping. The water bottle you see here in Kobe's hand will become very important to us. Lucerne is obviously known for its clocks, but maybe more importantly, its chocolate. Just went in here, which is actually where my family and I went in 2019, so kind of a throwback. They were giving out free samples, but it had hazelnut. So Kobe got a nice little dulce de leche sample. Well, not a sample,
very good.
But good stuff. Amazing chocolate.
Oh yeah.
The next stop on our sightseeing adventure was the iconic Lion Monument of Lucerne. It is so much bigger in real life than you would ever imagine. And right next to the monument is this glacier park. There's these divots in the ground that were created when glaciers covered Switzerland, and they think they were created by the water coming down through the glaciers and then spinning these rocks until they spun so deep they made those giant craters, which I just find to be crazy. This park also had just some like random attractions, like this mirror maze that we went through and got lost in and had some fun in as well. One of the most unique experiences of this trip was this cave in the glacier park that had these projections on the wall telling you about, times of the dinosaurs and what used to be here and all that fun stuff. And when we were standing here, we had no idea this whirlpool would open in front of our eyes, and it took us both just kind of by surprise. It got really loud and the water was really moving, and we had no idea if this was a part of it or not. It was just kind of crazy. In this cave, you just kind of worked your way up and out. So we got to see all of these crazy rock formations and things and get a peek at the daylight. But then when you got to the top, you had this gorgeous view of Lucerne and all of the old historic buildings out there. But there was also an even higher lookout point that you got to see even more of Lucerne. Like there's a little hint of the lake and just all of those buildings and histories that Lucerne has to offer. This glacier park was just something we kind of stumbled upon, but I'm so glad we found it because it had some really cool perspectives on Lucerne. We continued doing some of our shopping and sightseeing. I had to go look at some yarn and see if any was locally made. We also checked out this church. That was pretty cool before we went back to the water just to see all the mountains as the clouds started clearing up and we could get a view of our surroundings and where Lucerne really lies in the Swiss Alps. So many buildings have just random paintings on them, and I find it so fascinating and interesting. Since we got a nice Swiss meal last night, we thought we would try some local cuisine tonight. We did make sure to get like this local specialties. So mine is a chicken paprika sandwich.
We got some cheese truffle sauce, some sauce creamy deluxe. I think it's called potato sauce. We got some donut and Biscoff ice cream.
Biscoff McFlurry.
And I got a firecracker chicken sandwich. Some would say it's local to here. Who knows?
Stay tuned for reviews. Review.
So my firecracker chicken sandwich, man, it had jalapenos, like crunchy jalapenos, so good. You had a paprika chicken.
So good. Delicious. Not spicy at all, which I was a little scared about.
Yeah, but the flavor was just so good. And then we tried those two sauces, the truffle cheese. Wow, so good. And the other one is kind of like a ranch, but kind of potato-y gravy kind of flavor. Pretty good as well. And then we had the Biscoff McFlurry.
Amazing.
Oh, no notes.
So good.
But the donut that we had ended up being cream-filled, like a Boston
Surprise.
cream. It was so good.
So good.
So good.
Everything was so
Everything
good.
was so good.
That night we took a little evening stroll and were absolutely bombarded with bugs. We're back. Same breakfast as yesterday.
But I also got the empanada and a cream-filled donut. It's gonna be amazing.
We are on a boat headed to Beatsfield.
Yep, gonna go up to Mount Riggy.
The boat departed from the port in Lucerne, and there wasn't a ton of signage, so we kind of just crossed our fingers and hoped we were on the right boat. This is where our obsession with filled donuts really was born. They're just so delicious and really one of the hidden gems of this trip. We knew we would eat a lot of cannolis and gelato. Filled donuts were not something we pegged as a favorite. But this boat ride was just absolutely so scenic. You got to ride through all of the mountains, and it was great to be on the water. And then we got here to the cogwheel train that takes you up the rest of the way. It was a crazy incline. I'm not sure if you can really tell, but if you look at the horizon of the water versus the way the train looks going up this hill, it was absolutely crazy. The train pretty much drops you off right at the summit. So we had a very short walk and then got this amazing view. Lucerne is right on the edge of the Alps. So it was really like one side was city and the other side is just mountain range. And I really think these views just truly speak for themselves. This huge tower you see here is actually built to pinpoint other summits and all of the mountains around us to figure out their height and all that stuff. At least that's what I got from the little infographic in front of it, but it made everything even that much taller. And you know, honeymoon needs some ring shots, some scenic little overviews. I just can't believe we were here. This is the reason I wanted to go to Switzerland on this honeymoon. It's just the most beautiful place in the world, and I'm so glad I got to experience it with Kobe. I knew there was a little restaurant up at the summit, but you know Switzerland's prices. So we had hit up a grocery store to pack a little lunch and then had it on this cute little deck and really just enjoyed the scenery, because what else is there to do? It's so incredibly beautiful everywhere. These are actually the tracks. When I say a cogwheel train, that's how that train got up this mountain. It just goes in those little cogs, and then we decided to hike down. Had a lovely little lunch that we packed from the grocery store with a beautiful view, because how can you beat this? And now we're starting our descent down to Kaltbad, I don't know, where we'll catch a cable car hopefully. I am so glad we decided to hike down instead of hiking up, because this was one of the most treacherous descents I have ever had. It is so steep. Our knees were hurting so bad by the end of it. We had some of that little music to welcome us to the cable car station. One of the reasons we wanted to do Mount Rigi is because we got to do all forms of transportation, as in boat, cogwheel train, and cable car. This cable car was crazy. It was also a very steep descent, and every time we went over one of these little supports, it was a falling sensation. So I was nervous the whole time, but Kobe really enjoyed himself and enjoyed his drone POV. Took a cable car from all the way up there down to here and then walked to the boat dock. We led literally everyone, so I'm glad we came to the right spot. The cable car actually dropped us off in a different little town than where we took the train up to the mountain, so it was fun to see another little small Switzerland town. And then we just took the boat back. Again, the water, beautiful, crazy powerful. Kobe stressed me out so bad getting this really cool shot of the waves for you guys. Back in our Airbnb, and you already know. Feeling very rested and relaxed after our donut and recharge. If you didn't know, food and everything in Switzerland is crazy expensive. So this evening our dinner is a little charcuterie with some Swiss meat and cheeses.
A cheddar pretzel. This is probably my fourth pretzel on this trip.
I think it is our fourth. And then also some budget candy bars that people are recommending on Reddit. And this is where we're having our meal. This was actually one of my favorite nights of the whole trip. It was just so incredibly beautiful. All of the birds were so active, and we had a full moon to sit under, and I really could not have asked for a better night in Switzerland.
Today we're saying goodbye to the leftovers. They were very expensive, our most expensive meal. We thought we could eat them later, but apparently there will be no microwaves at all later. So pretty disappointing, but at least it tasted good the first time around. Had some cordon bleu and a special dish for Switzerland. Goodbye, leftovers.
We are checked out of our Airbnb, and today is our biggest travel day besides just physically getting here. We have about a 9-hour bus ride.
7 hours with a 2-hour layover in Milan though.
True.
Not too bad.
Just prepping for that. We had to check out of our hotel, and our bus isn't until like 1-ish. So you already know. Breakfast.
Yippee!
In our usual spot.
Now we're in another park eating some lunch. We went to basically their local grocery store called Cope, and we got some like pizza type of pocket things that they make here, some local baked things, and this like ham and cheese croissant. So we're just in a really nice park and eating it up.
One of the best things about a Europe trip is there are free fountains of drinking water everywhere. So, like I said, this water bottle became very important to us. We filled it up countless times at the public fountains, and then we finally moseyed our way on over to the bus stop. After an hour delay, we are on the bus to Milan. Here is our lovely views of the day. Standstill traffic and lots of tunnels through the mountains. Even with delays and standstill traffic, we miraculously made it to the bus station 30 minutes before our next bus. We can say we've been to Milan now. We're technically there. This is our view though. That's what we've got.
But we've got some delicious sandwiches. Well, I've got a sandwich. You've got a little hot dog and a croissant. And some what we think is Parmesan Pringles or something maybe? Probably pretty good.
Good stuff. About to load on the next bus.
Yep.
It was luckily a nice, uneventful bus ride. We took some naps. We just relaxed and hung out. We didn't get to Padova until 10:30. Instead of staying in Venice, we wanted to stay still on the mainland because it was just a little bit cheaper and it was easy enough to take a bus over to Venice the next day. But this is where we stayed. This is filmed on the last day we were there, so we're actually packing up and trying to get out of there. But it was a really cute little room. It was really nice. The woman who owned it didn't really speak much English, but what a perfect little stay for us. And the next day we woke up bright and early to head over to Venice.
Just took the train into Venice, so now we're about to wander around, go to all of the iconic things. We got some cool buildings already behind us.
So then we just started exploring Venice. It is such a unique place to visit. I really thought in early May we'd be avoiding the crowds, but no. Tourism is in full swing by early May in most of Europe, so just be aware of that if you're planning a trip. But we got to go over the Rialto Bridge, get some gorgeous photos in front of it as well. And then we also moseyed our way over to St. Mark's Square, where there's the Basilica and the Bell Tower. This was the day we got 30,000 steps in one singular day, which is crazy. I think we walked literally the entire island. I always find it so fun that each little town we go to has one street that has all of the designer brands you could ever think of. And then we found a cute little lunch spot. Found a little build your own pasta place. I got some mushroom and cream sauce.
Carbonara.
And Venice has like literally nowhere to sit, so we found like a random stoop in the shade.
3 benches total, all taken.
One of my other favorite things about Europe is there's just art around every corner. So here's a cool sculpture we found. We just walked probably like 30 minutes and probably in a lot of places we're not actually supposed to be to see the hand sculptures, just to find out that they're closed, and we could like maybe see a little glimpse of them. So that's our bad, I guess, for not really researching, but we are on the far edge of Venice that I don't think a lot of people go to. Cannoli count is officially at 1 each. Then we just continued exploring Venice. There was a lot of chocolate shops, a lot of bakeries. There were gondolas in every canal, and if you were lucky, you could hear them singing every once in a while. On the main canal, there was actually even a gondola that had like a full guitar and singer, which was awesome to see. I did not catch him singing on video, otherwise I would have shared, but as you see, he just sat down. So I just missed it. We were actually fortunate enough to do our own gondola ride, so we just made our way over to one of the stands on the Grand Canal and then had a beautiful, almost sunset gondola ride. It was about 20 minutes of being out on the water, but it was so incredibly perfect. Our gondolier was also so nice and took some pictures for us, and it was just really so amazing. So then we grabbed some dinner after that, some nice pizza, a little snack by the water where we just watched the sunset. We took one of the last trains home last night, got a good night's rest. Now we're taking a casual day trip to Verona. Verona was a little bit of a surprise add-on to this trip. We had scheduled for another day in Venice if we wanted, but we decided we'd rather go to a nearby town, and I am so glad we did. Verona is so beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful towns I think we went to, at least for me personally. They had all these beautiful squares and historic buildings, and it was so picturesque. Panzerotti for lunch.
Times 2.
What I really loved about our day in Verona was how casual it was. We had no real agenda, and we kind of just saw the sights as they popped up. Kobe found this really awesome cemetery for some very rich people, but the highlights really include that Verona is the birthplace of Romeo and Juliet, supposedly, but we got to see both of their houses as well as explore just all of the tourist sites centered around Romeo and Juliet, including this little shop that was right next to Juliet's house. So Juliet's balcony is like gated and roped off, which is so weird. But if you go into the store right next door, you get your name on a little card.
Well, the girls do.
The girls do. And then there's just like a little door you could see the balcony and the statue from. So it kind of worked out.
Packed.
Gelato counter is up to 1. I have tiramisu and salted caramel pecan.
Milk and chocolate drops and black cherry.
Delicious. Kobe pretty consistently gets more exotic flavors than I'm willing to try. So that will be a consistent theme throughout the rest of this vlog. But we just continued to kind of explore the area until we happened upon a large group of people singing and dancing. So that was interesting and cool to see. This bridge has been around since medieval times. You got to really just explore it as you saw fit, as in climb up the walls and just look over at the water below. There was also this wonderful arch that we got to sit with for a little bit before saying goodbye to Verona and goodbye to Shakespeare himself, who I think gave this city the popularity it has now. Dinner is a pretzel in the train station.
The next day.
We are checked out of our last Airbnb and now we're just in our waiting period for our bus at 1 o'clock. So, you know, we had to check out the Italian local McDonald's and get their specialty items. Here's what we've got.
The crispy McBacon chicken. The regular crispy McBacon. It's a burger, not chicken. We've got a Snickers McFlurry. And the pièce de résistance. Bacon cheese fries.
On the bus. This is our room for our next 4 nights. It is a 4-bunk stay with a stunning little view of the Duomo in Florence. After 3 hours on the bus, 45 minutes on the tram, 45-minute wait to check into our hostel, we are checked in and out ready to explore the city. This is our only hostel stay of the trip. Already kind of a weird vibe, but it'll be fine.
It's not that bad.
Our roommate was in his underwear when we came in. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? For our first night, we kind of just explored the area around the hostel. We didn't go into like what I would call downtown Florence, but we got to see some cool architecture that was near our place, a beautiful little rose garden where like everything was in bloom. It was so beautiful. And then we found this awesome little sandwich shop. We didn't realize how popular of a choice this was, but I'll tell you about that a little later.
Got a ham and black truffle sandwich. About halfway through it already. And over here,
Suckling pig with onion and potato cream.
good stuff.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Just about every night we ended up in the Central Market. Tonight's indulgence was some gelato. It's a really cool little place that just has a bunch of different restaurants and different types of foods that you can grab a bite to eat at. The next day we started our true exploring. This is the Duomo in Florence. We also obviously had to check out the Lego store. You want to see what kind of fun stuff they have built in there. And then we just wandered the city a little bit to see what we could find. We had no real agenda, and we found this little market while we were exploring. We also found a Italian delicacy, a maritozzi. It's whipped cream in a bun. Really delicious, because how could it not be? In our exploring, we also found the fake David. This is just a stand-in-place statue of where he once was. He's been moved to a different museum now. This is the entrance to a little museum. It's just kind of a waiting area, it seems. And then we found this restaurant, which, yes, the line is long, but it was so worth it. We found this place on TikTok and have nothing but rave reviews for it. It's a little sandwich shop that has incredibly delicious sandwiches. Just listen to what we have to say about it.
Okay, we just smashed the sandwiches. Might be the best thing we had. Sounds good, of course, but man, we're about to jump into this bad boy. Excited.
After the sandwich that changed our lives, we naturally had to go to the School of Leather. If you did not know, Florence is known for its leather, and this is like the real deal place to get it. They were monogramming things live for people as they bought them, and they had this whole room of leather jackets. Take a wild guess how much this jacket was. Did you guess 680 euro? Because that's how much it was. It was absolutely downpouring, like all day. We were literally running from store to store to stay out of the torrential rain because we didn't have jackets or umbrellas with us. But you could see into the school as people were working, which was really awesome. Then we made our way to the oldest art store in Florence and did a little shopping, as you would expect two artists abroad to do. So Kobe spent his time deliberating some brushes and finally picked out the perfect ones. Just got some of our first souvenirs of the trip. I got a little watercolor pad and a new watercolor brush.
I've got a couple brushes and a new little sketch pad as well. All Italian-based brands and made here in Italy.
Good stuff. Okay, a month ago, I bought tickets to climb the dome of the Duomo. Obviously today is very rainy, stormy a little bit. Our tickets for the climb are in 30 minutes, so we'll see if they're open. We were actually some of the first people to get in line, and there are so many warnings about don't climb this with cardiovascular issues, or don't climb this if you're pregnant or claustrophobic and all that fun stuff. Luckily, we had no issues getting in. The weather did not delay us whatsoever, so we got to get going. We're in, starting our ascent at 6:45.
We are not quite at the top yet, but we are getting a good little view right here. We're gonna get up to the top soon.
And when I tell you the view from the top was gorgeous, it was insane.
We made it!
Don't mind my huffing and puffing in that last video. It was a steep climb, but the views from up top were insane, and we were lucky enough to catch a rainbow while we were up there. Everything was just so vast and beautiful, and even more so when we could hear all of the bells going off in the city. We did eventually have to come back down. We were the last ones to leave the roof, and this trip down was just as treacherous almost as the trip up. It's so steep.
So it was pouring down rain as in our last video, and we went up and it was done raining the whole time when we started our ascent, and when we were up there it was beautiful. It was super sunshiny, it was amazing, and as soon as we started walking down it started raining again.
As soon
literally the second
we
we
get on
stepped
the
foot on the
stairs.
steps. So
And
you know, it's pretty
first
cool.
one's up, last one's down.
Really maximized
Amazing
the time
experience.
there.
10 out of 10 recommend. It was so incredible.
We were just up there and now it's pouring rain. Hooray!
So we again ended our evening in the Central Market. This time we got Parmesan pasta. That is a wheel of Parmesan they are throwing our pasta around in. So that was a fun little treat. We both kind of agree a little too much Parmesan for our liking, but we also got to try that Tuscan wine. We got some Prosecco to sip on that evening as well. Tiramisu in a Biscoff cannoli. We had an early start to our next day. We started with the baptistery that's connected to the Duomo, and unfortunately it was under construction, so we could not see the mosaics on the roof, but at least this was still intact and on display, so that was beautiful to see. And then we went to a little pizza spot for lunch. It was called Pizza Napoli. That first sandwich shop we went to has 3 locations on the street, and all of them had very long lines. So it was a much bigger deal than we thought it was. Then we went to this other TikTok famous place called Vivoli, famous for their affogato. They had that wine window that people were taking pictures with and stuff, and these women had it down to a science, and I got my nice little affogato. It was awesome. Kobe also got some gelato while we were there, but then we hit up our first gallery, Galleria dell'Accademia, where the David is. We saw a few other things before we entered the hallway with him, David. It is a very grand feeling to turn that corner and see him standing in his spot and even getting up close and personal with him. It is a massive sculpture and so incredibly well done. We also got to see a lot of other sculptures while in this gallery, and it was just so cool to see all of the history and craftsmanship that goes into these. Talked to an incredibly nice man at the counter who explained Florentine steak to us and our options and all that stuff. So here's what we ended up with. 2 sirloins, kirked, medium rare, maybe even rare. We did whatever they recommended. And a side of potatoes. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely delicious. It was. Buongiorno. We have some chocolate croissants and are headed to the Uffizi Gallery. The hardest planning part in this trip was the tickets. They were all for timed slots, and then when you got in line, you had to make sure you were in the line for people with tickets and not in the line to buy tickets. So once we got that all figured out and got in, we were amazed at this gallery. This is the birth of Venus, something I personally was really excited to see while we were here. But that's just one of the many, 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 many things we saw in this gallery. It had truly a little bit of everything in there. We sought out benches like none other and then relaxed for a little bit. Here's Kobe showing a man combing his beard. Anything we need to do to entertain ourselves. But there's also even just the frames of some of this artwork is absolutely crazy to me. And each room is even more extravagant than the last. There is obviously the artwork on the wall, but every ceiling is beautifully made and curated, and it's just such a unique and cool experience. We were able to spend most of the morning walking through this extensive gallery. You already know, we're creatures of habit.
We were gonna get a different sandwich, but I'm not sure if the pesto they've got has nuts, so we went back to the Dolterio, getting this pork, the peppers, the really good cheese. You just gotta get the classic back in the system.
Best sandwich ever.
And this time it's sunny out instead of rainy, so that's
amazing. Cool. After lunch, we decided to go across the river to explore some more. On top of this bridge is not only some shops, but also a corridor that goes from the Uffizi Gallery to Pitti Palace, which is something we decided to kind of add on. This is the exterior of that palace. It is the epitome of grand and just flexing all of the money you have. It was so big. And there was a lot to go through. There is that fountain on top of the wall, but then underneath that fountain is this second fountain. So even just the courtyard alone left us awe-inspired. We started in a little chapel that, of course, had the painted ceilings and the walls and every extra bit of art you could ever want. We also got to see their ballroom, which was just beautiful. The lighting in here was crazy, but mostly just a huge collection of art. Of course, every ceiling is painted, and it's just kind of overwhelming the amount of art you can encounter here. They also had a fashion section of the museum, which I found very interesting. There's a lot of ball gowns and kind of led you to present day even. And after all these galleries, you know, we had to reward ourselves with some gelato. Rumor has it that gelato that's covered like this is the stuff to get.
Gelato count.
Yeah, I've got some mousse cheesecake and coffee.
I've got Florentine vanilla and one that's white chocolate cinnamon.
Our plan for the evening consisted of going up to a lookout point for sunset, and on the way there we encountered this delicious little restaurant that had a bar on the corner that was serving everyone that was also coming up to this lookout point. This is just a taste of what it looked like and the amount of people that were there with us. Something I did not expect to see while we were up there is multiple brides and grooms that come here to get golden hour photos with everyone on the stairs, and I'm sure the view of Florence. But I mean, come on. How can you beat this view of Florence at sunset? It was so beautiful. We stood there for quite a while just taking it all in. And there's another David up here, so we actually saw 3 in total. Salted caramel filled donut. And that's pretty much how we spent our last day in Florence. We got to see this fountain finally turn on, and then we also just took one last look at the Duomo at night. It is such a beautiful city, and we really enjoyed our time in Florence. Definitely a highlight, and I can't wait to go back someday. Good morning, it is 6:30. We are checked out of the hostel and headed to the train station for a little day trip to Pisa. The train actually drops you off probably a 15-minute walk from the tower itself, but on our way over there we got to see this Keith Haring mural, which was just really fun to see. I've never seen any of his work in real life. But then you come on the tower, which is in fact leaning quite a bit. Very fun to see, such an iconic monument, and it's really hard to get the lean accurately on camera.
You can tell the tower's leaning because this is 5 blocks, and if you go to the other side, it's only like 1 1/4. Pretty crazy.
My first cappuccino.
Probably my 18th donut.
Check the counter.
Yeah, we're just walking out here looking for a place in Pisa to get a piece of pizza and a pizzeria.
Yeah.
Well, would you looky here? We got a piece of pizza and a pizzeria in Pisa.
This was actually one of the most delicious pizzas. Mine had mascarpone on it, which was just amazing. We did a little bit more exploring of Pisa, just walking through some of the squares and seeing their statues and fountains and stuff before we went to go pick up our bags that we left at the train station. Only €5 a bag, so pretty good deal. We maybe had too long of a explore day in Pisa. We saw the tower, we had some delicious lunch, prepped some dinner at a grocery store for dinner, and now we're about to get on a train for 4 hours to Rome. Our train actually took us along the coast of Italy, so we got to have some ocean views during our travel time. This was a pretty easy train ride, nothing too crazy, and then we got to our next and final stay, which was just this cute little bedroom that had everything we needed and a bathroom down the hall. Another bright and early morning, just got off the metro and headed to Vatican City. Metro, go. We got here at about 7 a.m. and please just take note of how few people are here right now. Just got our tickets to go up in the dome with elevator assistance.
Yeah, because we're not young. We don't have good legs.
Listen.
We suck.
They say the Vatican museums are 9 miles long, so doing what we can. Elevator was definitely worth it, and with this dome climb, you get again to just be up close and personal with the dome. The bottom ring that we're right next to was done by Michelangelo, all mosaic, which is absolutely crazy, the amount of detail they're able to get into those. But then we got to go to the roof. We were there so early in the morning, there was like a morning haze over the distance, so we couldn't see very far, but it was still cool nonetheless. And then once you're done on the very top, you can kind of hang out on the roof, and there's a little cafe up there where we got a little bit of breakfast, obviously croissants and stuffed donuts, you know our drill by now. And then the elevator down takes you right into the basilica. So we got to explore that a little bit. We did a audio tour of this, so we got to know some of the ins and outs and design choices that were made when building this grand place. And the center walkway actually has markers of where other basilicas would end, where their altar space would be, just to show you how grand of a space this really is. This bronze altarpiece is 7 stories tall, and the words in that ring above us, each letter is 7 feet tall, which is just absolutely crazy to think about how large these things really are. We even got to go down to where popes are buried. It was just this like kind of random side entrance, but it was really cool, and each one obviously had a very extravagant burial site. And by the time we were done, this is the amount of people that were left outside. If you stood in this exact spot, every pillar lined up perfectly, and I thought it was really funny that this spot is here instead of over there, which is actually centered in the square. We left the main square to explore a bit more of Vatican City, and we happened upon this horse-drawn wagon pulling barrels of something. We still don't know where they were going or what they were, but it was pretty fun to see. We did a little shopping and kind of just saw what the city had to offer. We stopped at this really cute little place for lunch and had some soupli, which is rice that is deep fried with cheese and other pasta sauces and stuff. So that was a fun Roman delicacy that we were lucky enough to find at this restaurant. Had some soupli and wonderful carbonara for lunch, and now we're just killing some time before the Vatican museums. We did just a little exploring before hopping in line, but the funny thing about the Vatican Museum tickets were they were not only timed, but you had to get in a specific numbered line before you could get let in. They also had these water machines everywhere that offered still and sparkling, which is kind of fun. The Vatican Museum, we didn't really have any idea what they would have in there, but we were pleasantly surprised. There was an Egyptian section with mummies. There was this awesome courtyard in the center with this great sculpture that rotated. A lot of other sculptures and just really cool ways to present the art. We again were finding benches wherever we could just to give our feet a rest, but we kind of just moved along with the crowd. I thought this painting was crazy in particular because of the camera in it. And then we got to see some textiles as well, which, you know, as a fiber artist, I always find very exciting. Every ceiling extravagant. That's one of the craziest things about traveling to Europe to me, is that every inch of every space you step in is absolutely covered in art. You could be entertained for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours, finding out little details and just really sitting and appreciating the crazy art that's been done before. This is me in the Sistine Chapel. No videos allowed, so you're welcome for capturing this for you. And the exit of the museum is this crazy ramp that slowly turns into steps. Just spent 4 hours in the Vatican museums. My feet are tired. Thoughts? Feelings?
Nice.
Yeah, now it's dinner. perfect time.
Yep.
We had seen a few advertisements for this place called Jollibee, and it is a fried chicken place that got its popularity in the Philippines and isn't really widely available in the US, so it was a fun little thing to try.
Good morning.
Today's adventure is Rome proper with the Colosseum, maybe Trevi Fountain and Spanish Steps, and then the Pantheon as well.
Big day.
The metro spits you out right underneath the Colosseum, so we were right where we needed to be as soon as we arrived. We got full experience tickets with access to the arena floor, so we got to walk through the same tunnels that gladiators would have entered the arena through, and it just gives you such a grand experience to come out of this tunnel and see the Colosseum in all of its glory. I can only imagine what this truly would have looked like back in its prime, covered in marble and pristine, and the crowds cheering, and just how crazy of an experience that must have been. The original arena floor is no longer intact, but that gives you a really awesome view of the undergrounds and the inner workings.
We're in the Colosseum on the arena floor.
We continued our tour to the first and second floor, getting to see the arena from all different angles, which was just such a cool experience. We originally were going to take the bus to the Colosseum, but there was a crazy delay, which made us switch to the metro, and we later found out it was because a race for a cure was happening at the Colosseum. So you can see all of these racers. Everyone was racing, gathering, just a plethora of people in the area, and I'm sure roads were closed, hence the bus closure, but we had to fight upstream to get away from the Colosseum and go explore other roads in the area and go find our lunch, like this lovely carbonara we had with a view of the Colosseum while we ate.
Got some cannolis.
With a view. We spent the rest of the afternoon exploring as we slowly made our way to the Pantheon for our time tickets at 4 p.m. and that included a stop at the Trevi Fountain, where you now have to pay €2 to get in the lower basin, but we found it to be totally worth it, and it kind of reduced the crowds a little bit down there. We also made our way to the Fountain of Love, where it's rumored that if couples drink from this together, they will remain in love and faithful to each other forever, so a fun little stop for the honeymoon before we finally made our way to the Pantheon. This is when Kobe found out that these pillars at the Pantheon are made of one solid piece and not stacked cylinders like most other pillars. We had an audio guide that led us through the Pantheon, Pan meaning all and Theon meaning gods. This is an old Roman temple to all of the gods that has been transformed into a Catholic church at this point in time, but it's famous for its classic hole in the ceiling. This is just a cool little view of how much Rome has built up around the Pantheon. That is the base of the Pantheon, and we are at the current street level. So it is kind of crazy to see how much Rome has grown. And then we continue to just kind of explore, found all these fountains in this huge square. And there were also some street performers that were doing a whole lot of nothing from what Kobe and I could see. So we kind of just kept moving on, seeing new sights. This is a beautiful bridge that we happened upon. We also obviously had to stop in the Rome Lego store, and this is the Trevi Fountain set, which was very cool to see built a little smaller than we thought it would be. We made our way to the Spanish Steps, really just took a picture and moved on, but they were beautiful with all the flowers on them, and then we got some pizza for dinner. More gelato. I've got salted caramel and coffee.
I've got like a eggnog meringue salted thing, and then I've got a Madagascar vanilla bean.
And this place also had cacio e pepe
Cheese
gelato, which was interesting. We tried it.
It was good, but the pepper is a little weird. It was like literally eating ice cream with your pasta, maybe?
It was a little weird.
Kind of good though.
Kind of fun. We wanted to see some of the sights again lit up at night, and the Trevi Fountain was actually having a light show to promote the tennis match that was happening in the area at the time. So a ton of people gathered to watch this show, and it was actually so incredible. I wish I would have filmed more, but here's just a little slice of it. After a quick visit to the Colosseum, we headed home for the evening and got a good night's rest. On the street we were staying, there was actually this market every morning that was like a flea market. It sold everything from clothes to produce and meat. You could really get anything you could dream of there. It is our last day, starting with some cream pastry. It looks delicious. Today's docket is the Roman Forum, maybe a park. But yeah, just gonna enjoy some breakfast by the Colosseum. We actually started our day on Palatine Hill. It was a wonderful little area of ruins, and it felt just like kind of a park with so much history attached to it. This and the Roman Forum and some super sites were all included in our Colosseum tickets, so we got kind of an all-access pass to this area. There were a few places they were checking tickets, and so many people ahead of us got turned away, so we really felt like VIPs showing up with all-access passes and getting to see every little archaeological detail that they had to offer here. The way some of these things were preserved is so crazy. Like this marble flooring that is so warped. We have genuinely no idea how it hasn't just crumbled and gotten destroyed. But there were so many amazing views of Rome and current day Rome in juxtaposition to ancient Rome. It was really cool to see. They also made a lot of efforts to show you what it looked like in its prime. So this little projection wall is showing the different decor that these hallways might have had in ancient Roman times. We also got to visit the house of Augustus and Livia, and this is some of the paintings that have stayed on the wall since ancient Roman times, which was also crazy. Kobe just found our first 4-leaf clover ever. Feels pretty fitting on our last day of our honeymoon. Woohoo! There was so much to explore here. This is the entrance to an old palace that was there during ancient Roman times. And this is one of those little rooms I was talking about that you had to have a special ticket to get into. So we really got like the insider view of everything. This is the view of the Roman Forum from above. It just shows you how much of a city center this really was. We also got to hang out with this little seagull that really did not mind humans whatsoever. We made our way down to the Roman Forum and we had a little audio guide to guide us through it. This is the entrance to the city center. And this is an old basilica and meeting place, and this is only half of it. There used to be even larger domes up on top. We also got to visit a few temples, again, some VIP access to these areas, and I just still can't even believe how well preserved some of these buildings are. This is actually the place that Julius Caesar was burned after he was killed. And behind those stones, you can still find some fresh flowers people leave. And this is the old courthouse that some think Julius Caesar was killed at, but he actually was not killed there. They were hosting the Senate a little farther away down the road. So it was so crazy to see that building and how high the ceilings were. But then we made it to the end of the Roman Forum and really just got to soak it all in. The exit wasn't necessarily easy to find. We ended up on this path that took us a while to get through, but it also put us at the base of some of these archaeological sites. So it was really cool to just see some of these things up close and personal. Then we made our way to dinner, had some lovely pasta again for our last night, and it was so beautiful outside. As luck would have it, my phone ran out of storage in the final hours of our final day. So now we're filming on Kobe's phone. But I just got my one other souvenir, and it's a little espresso cup for my new Nespresso.
And we're still at the Pantheon.
So this site is actually the site that Julius Caesar was stabbed at. He was just behind that round building over there. Rumor has it, I guess nobody truly knows. But this whole area has become a cat sanctuary. They have volunteers that come and feed 150 cats that live in this area. This black cat here is actually pretty much where Julius was stabbed. So we're claiming that that is the reincarnation of Julius Caesar.
What kind of gelato did you get?
Tiramisu and Guinness.
I also got the Guinness and a cream caramel. And we're gonna eat it by the Colosseum. Good morning.
Good morning. It is travel day back home. We have completed the first leg of the travel, which was taking the metro from our hotel to the main train station in Rome. Now we were on said train waiting for it to depart.
This bottle we got in Switzerland at the very beginning of the trip, and we've continued to refill it at all of the free safe-to-drink fountains all over each city. It's starting to maybe fall apart a little bit. It used to be a European cap that stayed on, but we made it American by the end of it. And now it's time to say our final goodbyes.
Rip.
A little airport breakfast / lunch. We got pizza, and then we got 2 croissants, although they said it was a cream croissant and it's a pistachio croissant. So I had to get a chocolate one or they'd kill me.
This pizza has potatoes on it.
Almost forgot to film the meal on the plane, but we got tiramisu. Got some chicken curry, some pasta. It tastes really good, actually. And later we're getting some hot cookies. What?
We flew 10 hours from Rome to the Atlanta airport and then had probably an hour layover before we flew from Atlanta to Kansas City. We are back on the ground in Kansas City. Just one more ride with Hannah to our apartment and then we are home. My flight had quite the docket of chick flicks I've never seen before. I watched Legally Blonde, Clueless, Pretty Woman, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and But I'm a Cheerleader. And I think that's all the movies I watched on our 10-hour flight.
I watched 5 movies. Some of them I fell asleep in, but I'm not going to list them because I don't remember all of the ones off the top of my head.
We're tired.
Hooray!
We are back home now and have been for the past couple of days, just kind of reacclimating to regular life. And I just wanted to leave you guys with a few closing remarks. We had the absolute best time ever on our honeymoon. I wouldn't have changed anything about it. I really loved the pacing of it. We got to really just like sit and enjoy the things we were seeing, which I think is a huge benefit to not doing a guided tour. We planned this whole thing ourselves and it came out so wonderfully. A lot of people have been asking us what our favorite part was, and there truly isn't one. Switzerland was amazing for the natural beauty. A lot of Italy was amazing for its history and art significance. Everything was just truly so amazing. We didn't even have a single bad meal. Like, it was truly perfect, and we feel so blessed to have gotten the opportunity to do that. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. I know it's a long one, but I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.